Well, hello again. Thank you for joining us again. We're taking this week of our devotional time together. We're in a New Testament book, a book that Paul penned. He wrote to the church at Corinth, and as he writes, he describes himself and Apollos and those with him. It's like he takes little snapshots, which gives us a picture of what would describe a minister's life, Paul's life, but I think we need to go beyond that, would describe a believer's life. Now, yesterday we talked about the fact that Paul begins this chapter by saying, if you want to look at us and consider us in any way, shape, or form, consider us as servants, and that word in the Greek is consider us simply under rowers of Christ. Our life is a life that simply flows with the heart and the will of Jesus. Jesus is our master. And so he's the priority. Whatever I'm doing with my day, whatever I'm doing in my life, I simply want to be rowing, accomplishing what Jesus' heart is. Isn't that we don't certainly want to be condemned to death in the haul that ship, just rowing, but it's a beautiful picture of the priority of what our life should be. It's not about us. It's about him. And so I want to see Jesus. It's kind of like those bracelets. What would Jesus do? How would Jesus live? That's how we want to live. We're under rowers. Well, today we're going to pick up the second picture. Now, the under rower was one of the lowest class of slaves. We're going to really get another class of slave here, but it's a different word. All right, let's go. Let's read it. Let a man so consider us as servants of Christ. And here's the second one, stewards of the mysteries of God. We're under rowers. We're slaves of Christ. Secondly, we're stewards. Now, a steward was a little higher class of slave. A slave was a slave. A slave was a slave for life. But a steward found somehow favor in the eyes of the master. And so a steward would be a slave who would be appointed to manage and oversee the affairs and the materials and the possessions of his master. Wow. Let's look at a couple. There are a number in the scriptures, but let's look at a couple. One that pops into my mind is Joseph. Joseph was a slave. Joseph was sold, if you remember, into slavery by his brothers, and the Ishmaelites took him and sold him to a man called Potiphar. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 39 and just read it, and we'll get a picture of what Joseph did. Joseph in slavery in Egypt, Genesis 39. Let's just read it from verse 1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him. We don't think that, but let's remind ourselves here. You and I have been bought. Oh, yeah. We have been bought. Jesus bought us. What was the price? His blood shed on the cross. We've been bought with a price. The verse goes on, and we are not our own. we've been redeemed. All right, well, if I've been redeemed and if you've been redeemed, we're not our own. When you go into the store and buy a candy bar, when you go into the store, that candy bar is Walmart's or Tops or whatever, Dollar General or whatever. They own it, but you grab the candy bar. I like to go over to Dollar General and buy Good and Plenty once in a while. And it's awesome, $1 for a box of Good and Plenty. So I go up to the cash register, they ring it up, I give them $1. Once they take that $1, that box of Good and Plenty is mine. I redeemed that Good and Plenty for $1. I can open that box and start to eat my Good and Plenty. Why? Because it's mine. We are Christ. We've been bought with a price. So we're stewards. Joseph was a steward of Potiphar, and he took care of all of his affairs. He took care of them well. He was successful, and he made him overseer of all that he had. We are overseers of the mysteries of God, of the gospel, of the things of the kingdom. Our purpose in life, Paul is saying, isn't to go out and make a buck so I can buy another toy, so I can buy another thing, so I can go have fun. No, my purpose in life is to go do my job, but then in doing that, how can I do it for Jesus? And how, by doing that job, can I take care of the things of God? So, steward. Paul says that we're stewards of the mysteries of God. We have been given the privilege of handling and taking care of God's things. So, being a steward, flipping back up to chapter 4 there of 1 Corinthians, we see that a steward is a dispenser. We're to dispense truth. We're to preach the gospel. We're to teach the Bible. We dispense truth. We take care of what God has given us. He's given us his word. We have been given gifts, right? 1 Corinthians 12, 13, and 14. Spiritual gifts and so on. We're learning in our study in 1 Peter, we're in a community. And we talk about the church. We have brothers and sisters. We're part of a family. We have responsibilities. We need to take care of those responsibilities. See, we're stewards. I think of another steward who's a great example, Genesis chapter 24, Eliezer. He was the servant of Abraham. And Eliezer was entrusted with great riches. He was entrusted with all the things of Abraham. He was entrusted really with the continuation of the line of the Messiah, Eliezer. What a trusted servant. As Eliezer went and he goes and he says, you know what? Whatever I do, I'm doing it so that my master succeeds. See, that's what being a good steward is. Today, I want to be a good steward of the time, of the talents, of all the things that the Lord has given me. I want to go through my day thinking, you know what? This is about Jesus. This is about the kingdom. I want to handle it rightly and do what's best, not so that I necessarily succeed, but so that God succeeds. That's what a steward is. That's what we're called to. Think of that as you go through your day today. See how God might use it as an encouragement today in your life and the life of those around you. God bless you. Have a great day. Keep your eyes on Jesus.